Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with my blind reaction to Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated episode 12. So, yeah. We returned to this last time after quite a long time. Finally giving this another chance. And last episode was very meh. It wasn't necessarily the worst, but it was very meh. The mystery was too easy to solve. Like, I understand this is for kids, but it was too easy. And on top of that, it just wasn't that interesting. Um, Hoping it gets better. Apparently, I was told in the comments that, yeah, last episode is one that not a lot of people like, I guess. So hopefully it's just not an issue that persists. Um, let's get into this. I don't know what to expect going forward. Like I said last time, there's maybe a couple things I know about, but all in all, I guess we'll just continue to find out. Um, let's just get this going and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause as redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I looked up Harlan Ellison, since it said he was played by himself. He was a real writer. He passed away in 2018 after, having recorded for this episode and everything. I don't know when this episode exactly came out, but yeah, he passed away in 2018. He was 84 years old at the time, so he was pretty up there. He is known for sci-fi writing, and is also known for being kind of an outspoken asshole. Like, the dude is, like, literally known for that. Apparently he contended at one point that the Terminator had ideas that were stolen from his works, which is an interesting claim. But he's done some pretty noteworthy works during his life. He was known for the 1967 Star Trek episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, which, according to this, is considered by some to be the greatest episode of Star Trek ever. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, so I don't know that one. My dad probably does. He's big into Star Trek. But I've heard of the name. I just don't know anything about it. I assume it's original series Star Trek based on, 67, but yeah, I've heard the name mentioned before. He also had A Boy and His Dog, which was referenced in here at the end. And his most famous is probably his short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Like, that's very famous. And from what I've heard, The Amazing Digital Circus, which I reacted to just the other day, is actually possibly inspired by it. There's actually some similarities from what I've heard. So that's interesting. But yeah, so just as a fun fact, Harlan Ellison was a real writer who did voice himself in this episode. So that's pretty interesting to note. Now, talking about the episode itself, I'm very mixed on it because there's some aspects of it I really like, actually. but there's a couple things that I really don't. Let's get the negatives out of the way first. That ending, like the fact that I had to go back and check on that, and the fact that it didn't actually make sense, kind of shows that it's like you really kind of messed up a little bit there. Like having the fan be Chargar Gothicon is fine. In fact, that makes sense. Honestly, he's the only one I feel it would have made sense to be. And unlike some of the others, yes, it was obvious, but it it didn't feel like it was just too blatant to the point where it's like distracting like last episode. It felt like it was actually just the right decision. Um, however, however, having him be there at the like reveal that Hatecraft was giving right before the monster attacked, and having him literally be there like 30 seconds before the monster suddenly attacked, it doesn't work. He should not have been at that lecture, or the monster shouldn't have attacked that soon. If you wanted him at that lecture to like be like, no, it can't be true, um you can't possibly be lying, it's all real. It's like, okay, but then have the monster attack after like they're leaving already. Give him time to actually change. um Otherwise, having him there and attacking like 30 seconds later, just while these Che Guevara inspired performative protesters are are singing, it's like he had no time to leave the lecture hall, change into his costume, get into position to jump down from the ceiling, all of that within that exceptionally short time. It's just not believable. It's not. And that is distracting. That is distracting because it's like, yeah, it makes sense for the monster to be him, but it doesn't make sense that it could be him at that point. The only way to actually have made that work is if there were two people behind it. It's like Scream. For those who have never seen Scream, that is a big thing in multiple of the movies, that there's more than one killer, and that's how one of them can be in the same place as Ghostface at the same time, because it creates an alibi for them and everything. Um, but they didn't even do that here. Instead, it was just the one kid, and he had an alibi for why he couldn't be the monster, and yet still was. And I'm just like, what? That just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Another thing I didn't like is I do not like this plot line with them breaking up. It feels like this stupidly edgy, angsty plot line that just doesn't work. It doesn't feel naturally handled. It just comes across as angsty teenage bullshit. And it kind of goes in line with the entire thing with Velma being upset that Shaggy chose a dog over her. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's like they're really making Velma to be the least likable character in this whole damn series. Scooby is a fucking dog. That's not equatable. It's not equatable. And Shaggy, it like basically just made a decision that he wasn't ready for the relationship, right? That he just wanted to, hang out with his friend, with this dog that he, likes, Instead, it's not because of like romantic feelings or whatever the shit you're thinking here, or acting like at least. Seriously, she's acting like Shaggy's choosing to date Scooby over her, and it's just cringy as fuck, honestly. Also, Scooby and Shaggy being anti vegetable is fucking weird. Like, I understand, like, them preferring, like, meat, I guess. But Scooby and Shaggy aren't anti-vegetable. They're not really anti any food. Like one of the most notable things, like in probably the most popular Scooby-Doo media, which is Zombie Island, is them eating peppers. Like they're constantly eating peppers in that movie. Peppers are, funny enough, a vegetable. They also build giant sandwiches in that movie and other movies and shows and stuff that, guess what, have vegetables on them. Tomatoes, lettuce, stuff like that. They eat pickles, which are vegetables. Scooby and Shaggy aren't anti-vegetable. Like, sure, they're not vegan. And the joke clearly here is, haha, vegan food is gross and shit. And it's like, let me rant here. Vegan food is not necessarily gross. My mom is a vegan. I'm not. I love meat. I just made steak the other day. But there is a lot of vegan food that is genuinely good. I've had a lot of good vegan burgers. I've had good vegan sausage and stuff that's not even like meat substitutes as well. I've had just good vegan food, like Middle Eastern vegan stuff, Indian vegan stuff. Just vegan food can be good if it's made well. And this is apparently the most popular restaurant in the area and the only one on campus. Probably still for a reason, even if they're under new management, it's probably still super popular. People probably still like it. So the food there is probably well made. It's literally just needlessly hating on veganism for no reason. And here's the thing. If someone's being overly pushy and trying to shame you for eating meat, that you can hate on that aspect of things. On the overzealous vegans who are excessively over the top with their beliefs on it, and again try to shame you and try to treat you like shit or make you look like shit because you eat meat. Those kind of vegans can fuck off. But that kind of goes for anything, not just veganism. Any kind of overzealous people who try to shame those who aren't in their circle of ideals or beliefs or whatever, anyone like that can fuck off. That's just an overarching thing. It's not exclusive to veganism. The idea, though, of veganism and everything is not bad. While I'm not vegan, I acknowledge veganism is healthier than otherwise. Provided you're, eating good things. Because technically Oreos and stuff like that are also vegan, but they're not healthy. So, as long as you're eating healthy and vegan. But you understand what I mean. Veganism is healthier. It is technically better. But that doesn't mean that you have to be looked down on because you eat meat. And that doesn't mean you need to stop eating meat. If you like meat, eat meat. Eat cheese, eat eggs. Eggs are meat, whatever. You know what I mean? Eat animal products if that's what you like to do. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? You're not at fault for the way those animals are treated before being killed for their food. You have absolutely no fault in that. You choosing to eat the food is not you condoning it. That kind of bullshit pisses me off. Because honestly, if you're gonna think that way, you basically have to protest everything. Because pretty much everything that's sold in stores is um, you know, made and sold in very questionable practices. So, yeah, whether it's just through the companies or the way things are produced or whatnot, you're going to have that everywhere. You can choose not to support certain companies and everything, and that's fine. Especially if the companies like put the money like actively towards hate groups or whatnot. That's fine. But trying to like protest all of like this entire industry because of a standard they have that you don't think is entirely right is a little silly. It's different between protesting a specific company and an entire industry. But again, it's perfectly fine to be vegan. I have nothing wrong with people being vegan. I have nothing wrong with eating vegan food. But still, and sorry for this ranting. It's just like this kind of irritated me a little because again, the episode tried to basically make veganism as a idea look bad, and it's just like, and again with Scooby and Shaggy, who would eat vegan food even if it's not their favorite, they would eat it. It's just like, ugh. uh, let's talk about the stuff I did like. I really enjoyed the monster design in this. Chogo Gothicon or whatever the fuck its name was. Um, obviously inspired by Cthulhu and everything. Very good design. Loved the quote unquote powers it had with the shrieking and everything. Really fun idea. Having this based off of Lovecraftian stuff with even a Lovecraft type character in here with hate craft. Also, the name is brilliant in multiple ways because obviously hate is the opposite of love. Lovecraft, hatecraft, funny joke. But also, like, I don't know if it was intentional, probably not. But it's also funny to me because the real H.P. Lovecraft was a hateful piece of shit. Very notably racist, for exceptionally racist, like horrifically racist. And it's just like, so it's kind of funny to me. And again, it's probably not even intentional, but his name being Hatecraft is really funny to me. Also, the fact that he's kind of like this loser idiot who believes in his own hype is really ridiculously funny. Um, and then you have his like rivalry with Ellison. I wonder. I didn't read like here on the article, the Wikipedia article I brought up. I'm not going to look through it all, but I wonder if Ellison had very specific issues with Lovecraft, and that's where like this came from. It mentions here that he had a wide range of criticism covering literature, film, television, and print media, but it doesn't like give specifics like in just this little bit here. I would have to go further into the article, and that's gonna take a while. So, just to find a specific thing. Like, of course I could always look it up. It'll be faster if I just do this on my phone. I'm actually curious. Did Harlan Ellison hate Lovecraft? The first thing I that comes up here is literally Scooby Doo. Hmm. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything specifically. So it just I there were just a bunch of random articles about Harlan Ellison in the results there. So maybe not exactly, but I guess they're kind of in the same realm. Lovecraft was sci-fi horror, and Ellison did a lot of sci-fi stuff, crime fiction, and did delve into horror himself as well. Um, so it's possible, but I like the idea of their rivalry and stuff. I also like that this episode kind of gave us definitive a definitive idea of Mystery and Gang's ages. Um, because I don't know if I don't remember if it did that in the first 10 episodes. I know they were mentioned as being in high school, Crystal Cove High School, but I don't remember if it ever mentioned their like specifically like what year they would be in. This very heavily implies they're seniors. Because they're literally being brought to a college to check it out in preparation for possibly going there. With multiple of their parents like kind of hyping things up, and it's like, oh, you see this uh, sorority. No, that's the no sorority. Sorority is like for the female ones, right? I is it still sorority? Fraternity. That's my mind was blanking hard. Fraternity. I should just think of like frat house or something. But yeah, go find go find my old fraternity. They'll welcome you in and stuff. Or this is where your sisters went. This like you belong here too and stuff. And it's just like it's very clear that they're being prepped to go here soon-ish. So it's very heavily implied by all this that they're seniors. So 17, 18 years old. Which is what I would actually think, based on their characterizations and everything. That's actually where I would think that they are in this series. And it's obvious it's different for various series and whatnot. Different Scooby Doo shows and projects have them at different ages. For example, the new Scooby Doo movies, Zombie Island, Cyber Chase, all of those, they're adults. They are very canonically adults because it takes place like years after their mysteries had all happened, and they are they're just kind of like taking a break and moving on with their lives and careers and stuff. Daphne being like this big reporter, for example. So yeah, in those movies and all, like for example, they are full-fledged adults, like mid to late 20s age. um, but in here, they're older teens. The meddling kids thing fits with that. But sometimes young adults are referred to as kids as well, especially by older adults. Um, so it's like, yeah, we got more of a kind of canon age range for them. Again, 17 to 18 or so. Um, I doubt any of them are younger than 17. Fred could possibly be older, just based on possibly being held back. Because let's be honest, Fred in this series is dumb as hell. He is dumb as bricks. I could believe he could have been held back a year or two. So I could see him possibly being 19, but I don't see him being older than that. He is possibly the oldest. If I were to say one who was the youngest, I would probably say Velma. Actually, she just comes across as just a little bit younger, but not like a full year or anything, just by like a couple months or whatnot. Um, Again, they're still right in the same age range. But I like that this gave us that. Um, Again, like I said before, I also like how while the mystery aspect of it wasn't like too hard to figure out or anything, it still felt natural in its execution until the end. Um, because it still felt like, while again not hard to figure out that it was that super fan, it also felt like, yeah, it should be. That just makes sense. It's just like, yeah, I have no issue with that. Unlike with the last one, where it's just like, okay, you're just literally throwing in our faces. The last episode felt a lot more annoyingly blatant about it. Um, and just the overall feel of this episode was also really good, having this kind of like spooky atmosphere, and it also felt like it had like a layer of actual threateningness to it, which a lot of these don't tend to have. You see a lot of these Scooby Doo properties, and a lot of them don't feel like, you don't feel like the characters are actually in legitimate danger, because most of the time, even when the enemies seem like they could be dangerous, they are a little too goofy sometimes to actually really feel that way. There are obviously examples otherwise, like Zombie Island, going back to that. Oh yeah, you really feel the danger in that movie. But like compared to something like one of the other ones, the Alien one, um, I can't remember what it's called right now, but like that one, you don't feel any danger ever. And it's not even against the movie. It's just it's like a lot of Scooby Doo properties. You just don't feel that. But here, you actually felt like the characters were in danger. Like you see characters being launched by this sonic shriek through the air and into like cars and shit. It's like, that's dangerous. That could injure people like pretty badly. It's like, you see at the end, Hatecraft was being dangled over the edge of a building, being threatened to be dropped off to his death. Like, there was an actual level of danger to this, and I kind of dug that. It felt a lot darker and a lot more serious at points because of that. It did always bring you back to the fact that this is still fucking Scooby Doo, so it's not going to be completely like terrifying or anything. But I kind of appreciated that they were willing to go that far and actually make it pretty freaky, pretty scary. I will give them massive credit where it's due. But yeah, so this episode is just very mixed for me. There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad, or even at the very least, just stuff that I didn't really like that just bothered me. Um, it might not bother everyone the same way. might be a personal grievance for me, but still, it's still a grievance. It's still an issue. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated? And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.